Hey everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 6, episode, I believe it's 16? This is the last episode. As you can see, this person who has lurked back here, with the help of all of you all, is back. So,
People's Champ is back, baby. Thanks for popular requests from you all. I'm in the building. It was hard, though. It was hard to get back in the seat, but I'm here.
For those who have not watched, this is my husband. We watch the show every week together, and we did the last review together. And so what perfect way to end this whole experience than to do this review together as well. So, not sure if you've seen the show, but if you haven't, I'm going to ruin it for you. Spoiler alert. Two of the three couples stayed together. Obviously, we know that Molly and John did not, and they kept to that decision when they got to decision day. Ryan and Jackie chose to stay together as well. All of us, I think, were on the fence about that. I know last week when we gave our predictions, we figured that they would, but there was still a little up and down because they're really not consistent. And Shawniece and Jepthe stayed together as well. Their whole thing was drawn out. So there was one part of me that was like, is Shawniece not going to stay together with him? But she decided to stay together, and they seem like they're happy with their decision and wanting to move forward. So let's kick it off with the first couple, and we're just going to give kind of our experience of watching the episode. Also, you guys asked for some live experiences, so in between talking about these couples, we're just going to kind of show you our live response to watching them. But we can kick it off with Molly and John. So what did you think about Molly and John kind of watching their experience tonight?
It was hard to watch. I felt bad for John, and I just think from a takeaway standpoint that Molly still doesn't get it. She doesn't get how she hurt him, and I think in no relationship, male or female, can you call someone some of the things you call them and not at least take ownership and accountability and apologize. And I think she keeps making it about, oh, I wasn't attracted to him, or I didn't, have sex with him. It's not about that. It's about respect and respecting him and not saying those hurtful things. And I'm sure it was more that we can't see that I think has just never been owned up to. So I think even if they would have stayed together with no accountability and apologizing and forgiveness, I don't think any relationship will stay together. I mean, will work long term. So
agreed. When they were talking about, because Dr. Jessica said, hey, Molly, would you stay together if he wanted to stay together? There was this long pause, and, you could see that she was thinking about it, but it felt very calculated in the way that she's just kind of wanting to win. There's this need to be presented in a way and to finish in a way still. Even though we've seen some of the worst parts, still I want to show up in this way, even if it's inauthentic. A lot of the time throughout this episode, she was still talking about, not being attracted to him and giving her all. And she said something like there really isn't much that she would change. And there was still zero awareness or, like Edmund said, like zero accountability or an apology for being in that space and being so hurtful. She kind of wanted to brush past it, and she really wanted for John to not see her in the way that he saw her. Her focus was, him not being upset with her, him not walking away thinking that she ruined his life. And it was about wanting to be seen in a certain way. I still didn't get anything beyond the surface. We saw her tear up a little bit, but not to be insensitive. It didn't really reach me to the core. It just felt like I feel bad about how all of this has blown up in my face, and this is not what I wanted, and it kind of sucks. And as we saw, John shut down, and understandably so. Pastor Cal asked them what they could take out of the process. Molly, said that she can take out being a better person, yada, yada, yada. And John really struggled because he is really, really hurt. And he says, hey, I've given up everything for this experience, and he doesn't know where to go. And he really wanted it, and he really did give everything that he could. So it was just hard to watch because you really watched two people who were really well matched in terms of compatibility, but it was a great example of how just because you're compatible doesn't make you relationship material.
Yeah, and it's just funny. Like she said in the beginning that she was attracted to him, and like they kissed at the altar, I believe, and then even on the honeymoon, and then now you don't. It's just real weird, and she has that kind of that it's a human need to a desire to look good. That's why a lot of people don't like public speaking or standing up, because they don't want to say something wrong. And I think she just wants to present so well and not look bad that it keeps her like here. It doesn't let her go deep and I don't think she ever really got fully vulnerable, like, and accountable for her actions and really considerate of his feelings. The first time she saw this video of calling another person disgusting and a monster, the first thing was, he's trying to hurt me. Like,
or when she looked at it and said, "What am I supposed to take from this?"
Like,
I was, what?
That was
what
such an a-hole move, from this? You know? It's like she's got that victim mentality, you know, and it's just tough to watch. And so I think John has presented himself well enough, though, that I'm sure a lot of bodies will probably be lining up to try to date him. I mean, you know, so hopefully that's it. And I wouldn't be surprised, though, in the next 6 to 12 months that Molly's on another show or in a relationship with some, you know, El Suave type of dude that just swept on in, you know, Christian Grey or something. You know what I'm saying? I could see that. Like, hey, if you don't move, you know, I got you, you know. So watch the Christian Grey episode to happen.
Okay. So what my advice would be for them moving forward, because these are real people. This was TV, but these are real people, and we're kind of seeing where their character defects lie and how they get in the way of relationships, and probably some of the reasons why they were on this show to begin with. John, I would advise that you not allow this bad experience to get in your way to cause you to shut down, because we usually take, you know, the whole of our bad experiences and we project them onto the next person and we make them pay for it. And everybody loses with that. I would advise that you meet the next person, you vet them as well as you can, and you be open, because ultimately you'll be the one who's missing out. Everyone is not going to show up as your one bad experience. And we can all relate to that. You know, every bad experience doesn't keep showing up unless we take it with us. We show up with our bad experiences. So find a way to kind of deal with it. Maybe talk to someone, see someone, take some time to just do you, and don't be bothered with anyone. Really cleanse yourself of this experience and then go somewhere with your heart open so that you can actually meet someone deserving of who you are with no changes. Also, what I would say for Molly is, Molly, you probably really want to kind of talk to someone, because Molly, from what I have seen, is very emotionally blocked. And so there's a lot of reasons. It's not just the attraction, because initially we said, hey, they're a great couple together. They seem to have great chemistry. She even said at the altar, he's very cute. And, you know, they had really a good chemistry when they first began. So it's not about the attraction. It's not about all these little things. Sometimes the big things show up as a number of little things over and over again. And so we have to be careful of making those small things the thing while we're trying to avoid what's major, because we're not ready to deal with it. So I would suggest that Molly talk to someone about what's going on. Really dig deep, get beyond the surface, allow there to be someone that you get ugly with, so that you can really like clean that stuff out before you move on. Otherwise, this behavior and these type of relationships will show up over and over again. And even if you do get in what appears to be a successful relationships, this thing will, you know, show up. It'll creep up within that relationship and demolish it as well, because they don't go away. So that's kind of the advice that I would give for Molly and John, and I, of course, wish them well. And now you can see our response to Molly and John live. Reactions for Molly and John.
I think there's so many good things about everything about the last 2 months. You know, seeing where we are today. I think the best thing is divorce.
Okay, so they're deciding a divorce, and that's not a surprise to any of us.
It is hard to want to stay committed in a marriage where you are
Watch. Let's see what happens in the next 6 to 12 months.
I not only didn't get
All right, moving on to Brian and Jackie. So we know that they stay together, which was exciting because we watch, you know, at the beginning when they're going back and forth, and all of the couples had this really nice thing that they did for each other the day before decision day to kind of like solidify whatever feelings were going on. And even then, the night before, they seemed to be very uncommitted is the best that I could say. You know, Ryan's once again saying what sounds right, but you don't really feel it with him. You just hear it. And Jackie is really kind of giving him so much power. You know, she wants to stay with him, but she's frustrated by what he's not doing, what he is doing. And it's turning into this consistent nagging. And I'm kind of wanting to shake her and be like, you have more power than you realize. But, they turn it around, they end up staying together. So what did you think about that?
I was kind of hard on him at first, but he's actually grown. If you go look at the beginning, first couple episodes to now, he's grown in his communication. He's not perfect, and I like the fact that he's going to stick through it. I think that takes a lot. And then the other thing I like that everybody can use too, he went and got counsel from his parents that were married for 40 years, and they gave him some good advice. And, that says a lot too. Everybody doesn't have that, and I think if you don't have it, then definitely seek people that have been married for a long time and get counsel from people that can advise you, or even people that may not have been married a long time, but they understand the human brain and psychology that can give you some perspective. So I'm just glad they were able to stick it out.
What do you think will happen to them moving forward?
I think they're going to have to really get better communication. I think that can be a wedge between them, and I think it can drive them apart if they don't learn how to really listen and not expect. I think she expects him to be a little more loving, a little more reassuring, and that's really just not him.
Yeah.
And I think he maybe can grow to be that, but he's just very stern, and you really can't read that. He's probably the best poker player in the world, but you just can't read him.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's not there. It's just tough to read.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they stayed together, which we knew. Something about Ryan still seems to me to be inauthentic, but I don't, I'm starting to realize, is this just him and he doesn't even know how to try? We're looking for these major changes to happen in 8 weeks. And I do agree with you, going to talk to your parents and kind of just trying to see what they can offer you and stick it out and see if he's committed. That's kind of the best that he can do. Surprisingly so, he wants to do it, and he says, this is what I want. I have eyes for her. I'm committed to being with her. If we look back at a lot of these episodes, Ryan has been very inflexible. He likes what he likes. He's not interested in changing. This is what it is. And these last 2 episodes of Ryan has maybe shown me, even though he's kind of been on the fence, that he might be starting to listen to Pastor Cal. He even says during the decision that he's listening to Pastor Cal and learning how to take that L, take the loss, and not have to fight every battle, and realize that everything doesn't have to be a thing. And there's some areas where he just has to back down and accept it. So if they are continuing to build on that and not make everything a big deal, they might have a chance. I still don't see it lasting long term. I just feel like it's on such shaky ground, and it's like a very wishful decision that they made. What would you advise them? Because I have some advice that I would give to them moving forward.
Well, really quick, I think actions speak louder than words. One thing I did notice about Ryan is that he seeks subconsciously reassurance from people that he knows will side with him. So I admire the fact that he didn't go to his friends at that time. He went to his parents. So I think subconsciously he wanted to hear that. I think they definitely should go through a marriage counseling class and actually have somebody to kind of step them through it on ways to communicate effectively and ways to handle. Because I think, problems in a relationship can be here and cause issue, or you can put the problem here and together you can fight the problem. If communication is the problem, don't fight each other, because it'll drive a wedge. Look at the problem together as a team and fight it together. And I think if they can learn to do that, they'd be better off. And really, but it takes listening and hearing each other. So I think they need tools. I don't think they're going to be able to do it without getting some guidance from somebody.
Good, that's a good point. And tools like setting up parameters in your relationship. Okay, so Ryan likes to go out. He's a partier. That's not going to change in 2 months. But is that appropriate for the type of marriage that I think he wants, in terms of how he wants to mimic his parents, and definitely she wants? The answer is no. So really sitting down and saying, this is what I did before you. This is what I'd like to continue to do. How can we incorporate this in a way that can respect and honor our marriage? Tools like that, tools like my husband said, effective communication, and then tools like, this is just a no-go. There are just some things that have to leave. I mean, you're making a life change, you're making room. It's almost like a closet. If you are now pushing your stuff to the back, like, for example, when my husband and I got together, we now shared this closet that I had massively to myself. Guess what? Some stuff had to go. You have to kind of clean stuff out, and it doesn't mean rearranging things. Stop it. it was difficult to move those things out. But it doesn't mean you have to just rearrange things and make them comfortably or put them where they don't fit. You have to decide what really needs to be there. So Ryan, for someone who kind of struggled with that, needs to decide, just going out with the boys 5 nights a week or 4 nights a week, does that really trump building a beautiful marriage with someone? They have to kind of learn how to communicate. Ryan has to learn not to make things a big thing because it doesn't fit this space that he has created, because the space that he has created is no longer his. It's theirs. And so it's now, what does our space look like and how can we make room for those things? For Jackie, I would say be careful. I would say don't put all your eggs in one basket in terms of like giving him all the power to make the decisions. She kind of is led by his emotional state, which is very inconsistent. Therefore, she ends up being very inconsistent. And she also has trauma from her past, relationship. So those things are still brewing. They didn't go away because she's married and she's in a new relationship. And those things will come up in why, she tends to maybe get really angry, or she has very little patience for him, or she might throw out, certain things that she shouldn't, and then he mimics her, and then we mimic each other, and then it becomes a big mess. So I would say realize that you have more power than you do. Start acting as such, set up boundaries, and you guys collectively figure out what you want your life to look like by having these parameters in your relationship to make it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's well said. I mean, you're awesome at what you do. I think the only thing, I think she's just a sweetheart. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I think she just has a lot of fear. And I think, just maybe replacing that fear with more faith. And if that's spiritual together, I think that would be very great. I'm not sure, you don't really get to religion too much in this show. But if you all do practice together, I think that spirituality can also help. It has helped us tremendously. I've become closer to God in this process, in this walk. And that's like the major thing that's really helped me become a better husband. And you talk about like Ryan, like this Thursday, I'm a big Lions fan. I got on Lions pajamas right now. You can't see it, but I'm going out with my frat brothers and we're going to watch the draft. But the next day, she and I are going to the movies, and then we're going to Yanni with her parents, going to see a concert, a Yanni concert. You might want to Google that. A lot of you millennials may not know who Yanni is, but we old souls over here. But anyway, I mean, just doing it with respect to your wife, I think would be great for him. So
yeah, definitely. And so now you guys get to see our live reaction to Ryan and Jackie's decision day now.
Ryan, I want to start with you.
Okay, so we're watching Ryan and Jackie decision now.
Or do you want to get a divorce?
I think they're gonna stay together.
Me too. I don't know how long it'll last. But...
Jaclyn. I feel really happy that I've got a chance to meet you. And through all the highs and lows, we liked each other, didn't like each other. And you know what? I do know that I want to
commercial break, right?
stay married.
Oh. Ryan wants to stay married.
I want to be with, and I want to do what I have to
I'm
do
not surprised. I felt like he would go that way, even though he's been swaying.
So much together. I know we have so much more to grow, and I know I'm not done seeing where this marriage
He's
goes.
got a lot of growth to do, but that was a growth for him to
story to write.
stick with it.
Yeah.
And just know the girls that I asked for.
Gotta get rid of that apartment though, bro.
Right.
Jaclyn.
Now Jackie.
Now this would be a shocker if
Do
she
you
said
want
no.
to stay
I know, right?
married to Ryan?
Of course she does.
Or do you want to get a divorce?
Now this might be where the commercial break is.
I've gone back and forth in my head, I think, because I'm scared.
She gonna stay in it.
I was hesitant, and I was trying to figure us out, and trying to get over some things that I've gone through, and now with the arguments, this relationship with you is not easy.
But
And now,
got it.
We'll be back.
but I want to stay married to you.
Of course.
Jackie wants to stay married. Surprise!
more
Not really. We knew that was going to happen.
It's going to be great.
They had to draw it
All
out.
these experiences
Yeah.
and seeing us grow in a lot of ways. I feel like
I'm still not hopeful, but I'm glad to see that they were on the
loving
same
you.
page. Last but certainly not least, we have Shawniece and Jepthe, who decided to stay together, of course. It was wonderful watching them. I mean, they have gone through a lot this season. I mean, they are two different people for sure. Shawniece jumps into 6 feet. You know, Jephte's bending down. I wouldn't say he's putting his foot in the water. He's like playing around with his hand, making sure that it's okay. He does not move quickly at all.
See if it's warm or not.
Yeah, like what moves slower than a turtle? Like he does not
Pregnant
move.
snail.
Yes. Okay. Well, so that is Jephte. And we have seen him kind of move forward in this. We've seen them stumble. We've seen them come back together. He is talking to one of his friends during this episode saying that he really didn't know how unprepared he was for marriage. And it was funny. We laughed out loud, but the reality of that is kind of like a lot of people's realities. You don't really know what you know until you know it in certain situations, and marriage happens to be one of them. There's a lot of ways to prepare, so it's definitely important, but you don't really know it until you're in it, and then each person requires something else, and each person evolves. So you can get married and know your spouse well, and as people evolve and life changes and things change and they require other things, and you kind of have to learn how to be flexible. And so he's learned how to do this, you know, yo-yo flexibility, learning, being pushed out of his, you know, element in 8 weeks from not knowing that person at all. So it was really good to see them get to that point and see them both be in a space that they were in decision day. What do you think?
I mean, I really think back to when they were in the car and he said that I don't trust you when he was angry. I don't trust you, and that he, you know, kind of talks about you don't know what's going on with me. I think that still needs to be explored. I'm glad they stayed together, no doubt. Mm-hmm. But I really think that whatever is missing there, he judges trust on time. So it doesn't necessarily mean time. It could be energy. It could be what have you. So just with Jephte, I think maybe like a form of meditation or being present. He's constantly in the future of this time lapse thing, and mm-hmm. It's like I don't know if I'll fall for you. You don't. That's not how you fall for somebody. Like it happens, yeah. And you just have to be kind of present and allow the moment to be. And I think if he could just be a little more present instead of fearing the future. A lot of people fear the past, but he kind of fears that future, and I'm glad that he pushed through it. Right. And I think he showed up as a leader in their relationship, which I'm really proud of for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm glad you brought that up. His obsession with this, I may not fall in love with her 5 years from now. He brought it up the last episode, and it was funny. You know, she laughed, he laughed. And then now it's this thing again. We create our norms. We create our realities. And so if you are stumbling over not falling in love with someone, then you will find every single way to not fall in love with them. And it's not this hokey, you know, you attract, although I do believe in all that. It's not saying it from something that isn't scientific and something that can't be shown to be true. This is real. If you're looking for something, you will find it. You will create it. So Jephte needs to be careful about that, because falling in love, as you said, is not something that on next Tuesday, I will be in love. You know, it can happen very quickly. For some people, it can happen after a long time. With Jephte, clearly, it will be some time before he falls in love. But he really needs to allow himself to just be, rather than getting in his head. And I hope that making the decision to continue to be married will be helpful for them, because the pressure is off. Everything isn't decided by decision day. So now we can just be and figure these things out. What kind of advice do you have for them moving forward?
Well, I think one is an observation in the advice. One is that if you kind of see how they're very different mm-hmm. people, and they kind of blend well, and they make one powerful unit. And I think what you kind of get what you put out. I think with John and Molly, they kept talking about we're matched on paper, we have things in common. That doesn't necessarily mean you should be married to the person. Like right. A lot of times people seek things in common because they are in love with themselves. They want to find themselves in another person. They're liking what mimics them, mm-hmm. which doesn't allow them to fall, to be connected with someone that's different, right? Mm-hmm. And it's so comfortable. To be uncomfortable is the part of growing with someone. And so if you're just looking for someone just like you, that could be an issue. Like you know, we have a lot of differences, a lot, but we have a lot of commonalities that are, you know, the most important ones. Like, you know, I know people that are married with different religions and they still make it work. So that's something though.
Not to cut you off, but the commonalities have to be stronger than the differences. There's a lot of things that we have in differences, but our commonalities are the ones that stick. They're more of the foundational stuff. And so you just have to make sure that that's that. You don't have to be perfectly matched. You don't have to be mostly, you know, in tune and only a few things out of tune. You could be very different people, but in the ways that you match, is that strong enough to have a foundation that can carry you through a relationship and have a successful and healthy one?
Yeah, like, see, I'm super neat, and I'm like the best chef in the world.
Today's got to be opposite day.
No, I can't cook though. I mean, she can cook better than me. Let's be honest. Okay. But I can cook. I made some bomb pancakes today, cinnamon style.
All right.
Anyway, off topic.
Is that the only advice you have?
No. Last thing is keep that excitement that they have. Like, Shawniece is doing a lot of different things and unique things, and I think just keep that going and allow yourselves to just be present. And of course, I also think that they need to bring in someone to kind of help them mend the whole marriage, which is both families as well. Because you didn't see much of Jephte's family. I don't know if that was intentional or if they're not supporting him or if there's something going on there. But you do marry both the person and the family. So I would love for him to kind of make sure that is a part of this process moving forward. And not a hindrance. So that's the only thing for them. And
I would kind of piggyback off of that and say it's really important, because I see so much value in the two of them as a unit. Right now, they're like infants to me. I see them like, or maybe like toddlers. I see them playing together in the sandbox. They get along. I totally can see them growing together. They need that guidance. They need someone to say, stop, no. And a lot of that will happen on their own, but they do need like some really strong anchors of support when they don't know how to fix it, where they can go to and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, you know, give me your feedback, or what would you do, or have you experienced this, etc., until they get into a good rhythm. And I liked, you know, when Ryan went to go see his parents, his mom was saying, you know, his dad said, you don't figure out someone in 8 weeks. And his mom was saying, listen, it took us years to get to this point. And they've been married for like 37 years. So this idea that, you know, you're perfectly matched and we have so much in common, it's crap. You know, we have to like stop making it what we think it is and then like ignoring what it is. And that's just more time away from making what it is work. So I really want to see them with really strong support. Jephte, I want him to like let loose a little bit. If you're watching this, let loose, unbutton that top button, you know, let some air in, have a good time, let your dreads loose, you know, everything doesn't have to be so tight. Trust her. If you trust her enough to be with her, then chances are, you know, our intuition often guides us, and it's never wrong. It's only wrong when we choose to make it wrong because we don't want to believe what it's saying. So if your intuition is guiding you in a certain space, let it go that way and let it be, instead of trying to figure something out that you don't have control over. And then continue to learn to be taught, because you're learning how to be, you know, romantic, and you're learning how to be a husband, and that doesn't happen in 8 weeks. It doesn't happen in a year. It's something that's a continued evolution. So that's what I would say for Jephte. For Shawniece, I would say, you know, pull back a little bit. Everything isn't a big thing. I know you're so excited to be married and it's a beautiful thing, but everything doesn't rest on the fate of the marriage. That's too much pressure. You know, like, what do we choose for lunch? Well, he chose by himself, and so now we're not together. No, he was just hungry. Like, sometimes it's really that simple. Don't make everything a big thing, because then it creates bigger issues and it wears down someone who's like excited to do something. And also get some control over your emotions. Emotions are beautiful, but we have to know how to guide our emotions rather than let them guide us, because then it spills over into our relationships, and then it will spill over to children when you have them. It spills over at work. It spills over all over the place, and you're now unstable. And we don't want to see that, because, you know, when we're in a high emotional state, our actions tend to be driven by that. And you don't want to do that, because we don't always make the best, you know, choices in those actions, and you won't respond to your, you know, spouse in the best way. And yes, there are moments for this, but we don't want it to be a thing that happens all the time. So I would just try to figure out where that where that struggle is for you in terms of being so hyper emotional, and, no judgment on that, but just kind of like see how it can get in the way and try to get a hold of that. That's it for them.
Well, I got one last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
One last thing to them and all the couples and then people watching this. One of the biggest things you can take for a marriage that I've learned is the intention. Learning the intention of that person, like with Jephte, and when him walking through the cornfield, do you really feel like he wants to leave you? Do you really feel like that's what this person is doing? Mm-hmm. Or is he just excited or just trying to have fun? And that happens in arguments and conversations. Is this person really trying to hurt me, or are they upset? Are they just sharing how they feel in an inappropriate way? Not disrespectful, because that's not allowed, but I really want people to get that intentionality, because it's so key. Because the other thing is, if you don't grow together in a relationship, you can grow apart. And who that person is now, you have to love different versions of this person. I'm not the same person I was when I met her in college. I'm not the same person that was working, or same person as an entrepreneur. And as a husband, you'll be a different, and a father, you'll be different cycles of yourself. But you have to have that intentionality that we are a team that grows, and so that's going to be up and down. So you have to be there for that person's growth and understand maybe they're growing through their communication. Maybe they're growing through their spirituality. Maybe they're growing through their trust issues and the loss of a loved one, a loss of a spouse or friend or date or, significant other. So you have to be their support in their growth and vice versa. And I think intention is like the number one tip I could give away.
That's a great point. And intention does give you more patience for your spouse, because a lot of times we respond based off how we feel they are. So if this person is saying something that is inappropriate, or they're responding in a way that isn't beneficial, then we automatically assume that they intend to hurt us, or they intend to be this horrible person. And when you start, and this is something you have to condition yourself to do, because it's not easy at first, but when you start realizing, okay, this person is a good person, this person loves me, this person is not intentionally wanting to hurt me and really be malicious, you will find yourself having more patience. It doesn't mean you'll be okay. It doesn't mean you'll be happy about it, but you will find yourself having more patience, knowing there's more to the story than this person just acting a fool. So now you can watch our live response to Shawniece and Jepthe right now. Okay, so we're watching Shawniece and Jepthe's decision.
So Jepthe,
I think they're going to stay together.
Stay
Me too.
married, or do you want to get a divorce?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to stay together. You don't grab her hands and say divorce.
And you have such a big heart. And I think we're meant for each other.
Yay! Jepthe says yes.
I'd like to stay married.
Which I knew.
Yeah.
Shawniece,
They're waiting on
Do you wanna
Shawniece, but
stay
we know it'll be
married?
yes too.
or do you want to get a divorce?
I think she's going to do it with tears, though.
Stop.
She has to. I know
She's
it.
crying.
I know it. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at her.
The one time where she should cry. Okay, out of happiness.
I'm sorry.
Clearly, I haven't done a good job in my dating past.
I knew it.
And I'm super grateful and thankful for you guys. And for the whole Married at First Sight. But, I really prayed about it, and I'm like,
Jepthe's
We
ready.
will be back. Okay,
Shawniece,
watching
This might be the
Shanice.
shocker here.
do you want to stay married, or do you want to get a divorce?
Okay. He's crying.
I'm super grateful and thankful for you guys. And for the whole Married at First Sight. I really prayed about it, and I'm like,
I want us to say yes.
I want you to know that you're an awesome person. And I know you have a great heart. And I want to say married.
Oh my God.
Believe in us.
Dramatic, man. Get out of
I
here.
mean, gold star for the editors, man, because they had me rethinking my whole thing, and I knew they would stay
She did
together.
all that mistake. I told you.
Gosh. Well, we're happy because they're staying together, and we really think that they have a really good shot together.
Just had to be dramatic.
Be happy, babe.
I mean, yeah, but man, come on, man.
So that's it. We are done with Married at First Sight Season 6. I hope you guys enjoyed these reviews. I absolutely enjoyed, meeting every one of you guys and talking to you guys. This was such a great experience, sharing all this advice and hearing your perspectives and learning from you all. I definitely appreciate all the positive energy when I wasn't feeling so great and going through things a few weeks ago. And it's just building this community has been such a wonderful thing and such a great way to start this year out. So I have a special treat for you all. I created a card game called Sip and Share, a fun way to be nosy. It's a conversation starter card game with questions from relationships to sex to career to life. And it's for women and it's also interchangeable for couples, and people have been playing it. And because I love you guys so much, I'm going to give you a discount code MAFS, so stands for Married at First Sight, MAFS, and you can put the discount code and you can get these, and I can't wait to hear how you guys enjoy it because I'm so excited to share it with you all.
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you this. I didn't know I would enjoy playing it so much. Like, my mom has played it with her friends. I kind of overheard way too much. She's had tea parties, and they like, look, okay, it's too much information. But anyway, my sisters played it. I know friends that have played it for the bachelorette parties, girls' night out, stuff like that. And they really, really enjoy it. And I watch some of the reviews, and it's hilarious. So I think you all should definitely check it out.
Thanks, babe. So you can go to IamSuccessfullyMe.com. You can enter in that promo code MAFS and get your discount online, and let me know what you think. In the meantime, I just saw a commercial tonight. Married at First Sight comes back in July, so you can find me here again in July. But in the meantime, I started doing reviews for Love at First Flight. So if you guys watch that show, go ahead and check me out on there. Even if you don't, come see me anyways, because I will still have all types of great advice and relationship tips for you all. And feel free to send me any messages if you guys have any questions, and I can do videos on that. So that's it. I really appreciate you guys. This was so much fun. This was a blast. See you guys in July, or see you at Love at First Flight. And everybody have a good night.
Hey, I just want to tell you, she's awesome. Like, I'm not saying that just because I'm her husband, because I'm glad you guys brought me back. But really, the value is the tips and the nuggets that she shares. I see her do this with other people and her clients and everything. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So follow her for her knowledge and tips and advice. And you'll definitely be able to apply that in your life as a single person, engaged, or even in a marriage. So thank you all for listening, checking out, and subscribe.
Good night.